Hearing the noise outside, the others rushed out to see what was going on. When they noticed Molly's body on the girl, Krista felt sick. "Oh fuck. What happened?" Krista asked. "Someone shot her," Vernon said. "Obviously," Krista said. Kenny noticed Clementine's hat on the ground and his stomach dropped as he went to pick it up. "Oh no. Clementine, where are you?" There was no response. "Shit. That asshole did this. The one who's been following us. He must have taken her," Kenny said. Carly frowned at that. "Oh, God. We'll get her back, we have to," Krista said. "Maybe he's not that bad," Ben said. Kenny shot him a glare. "Don't get me fucking started on you and good intentions." They flinched as they heard walkers approaching. "Oh, shit, here they come. We need to get in the house, now," Krista said. The others nodded and they rushed inside. "We can secure this place." "We have to," Krista exclaimed. "Carly, what's going on?" Danielle called, from the stairs. "Not now, Danny. Stay upstairs," Carly replied. The child frowned at that. "Krista," Kenny called, "get on the windows in the front room. Check the boards." Krista nodded. "Got it." "Carly, look for weapons. Gather anything you can find," Kenny said. "Will do." Carly rushed to do so. "Ben, help me move anything you can up against the doors and windows," Kenny said. Ben nodded. "Vernon, watch our backs," Kenny called to him as he and Ben went to move furniture. "I'll do my best," Vernon huffed. Everyone went to do their assigned task. Danielle went back upstairs, trembling a bit. She was scared and unsure of what was happening. As the group manages to block the doors with furniture they around returned to the hall. "Now what?" Vernon asked. "This place seems sturdy to me. I think we're fine," Krista said. Suddenly a walker's arm crashes through a nearby window. More walkers break down the door and climb through the windows. "Get upstairs," Kenny exclaims. "Go." The group starts to rush upstairs, Vernon freezing as he notices a zombified Bree. "Move." Kenny grabs him and urges him forward. Carly and Krista rush into the room where Ahmed and Danielle are. Danielle is clutching to Clementine's walkie-talkie that the teen must have left in Ahmed's room. "Ahmed, can you stand?" Krista asked. I can try." "What the hell is going on down there?" Ahmed asked. "We got walkers," Krista said. "Come on." Krista and Carly went to help him up. "Danny, stick close to me," Carly said. Danielle nodded. They rushed to the others who are shooting at the walkers. Kenny is trying to push a desk. "Guys, help me with this." Ben goes over to help Kenny push the desk. "What do we do now?" Ben asked. "Everyone get to the end of the hallway," Krista orders, her and Carly still helping Ahmed along. Kenny pushes the desk into the hallway. "This'll slow him down. We get to the end of the hallway, and take a fucking stand." The group obliges but the walkers continue to approach. Everyone gathers at the end of the hallway with their weapons drawn. "We can't let ourselves get trapped," Carly said. Kenny nods in agreement. "Let's get as many as we can. And when we see an opening, we go for it." The others nodded in response. "You'll know where to aim," Kenny said. "Get ready," Krista said. Walkers approach the group, and everyone fires at them, eventually running out of ammo. "I'm out," Krista said. "Me too," Kenny huffed. "Fuck, where do we go?" Ahmed asked. Kenny looked around. They weren't getting past the walkers. "There's no goddamn opening." Krista looked the attack up. Kenny pulls the string that opens the attic door. "Go." Everyone runs to the attic. After making sure everyone is there and safe, Kenny quickly shuts the door. When Clementine stirred awake, the girl immediately noticed she was covered in blood. She was laid on some kind of hotel bed and panic hit her as she quickly checked her clothing to make sure it wasn't out of place. "You're awake," a voice spoke, causing her to jump. The teen looked to the man. Who are you?" "Don't worry about that, sweetheart. You're safe now," the man said. "Safe?" "That's right," the man said. The girl frowned at that. "I was already safe." "Not with that group, you weren't. Don't worry. I'll be getting the little one too." "Danielle, is it?" the man said. Clementine frowned, feeling herself shudder a bit. How do you know this? I have my ways. Trust me. I know a lot about you, Clementine. The man replied. The way he said her name, the fact that he even knew her name made her skin crawl. She had never seen this man in her life. We'll be happy. Like a family. I'm sure you miss having a family, sweetheart, he said. I do, Clementine said. I know you do. The man said back. But my group is my family. Clementine responded. They're not a family. They could care less about you. The man stated. They do care about me. Clementine argued. Only until it's inconvenient for them to care. They're not coming for you, sweetie. You might as well get comfortable staying with me. The man said. The girl frowned at that. There's blood on me. I know. I had to cover you, so we could get inside easier. The dead are everywhere. The man explained. Clementine looked confused. Cover me? In their blood. The man said. Clementine felt like she would throw up. Don't worry, sweetie. I'll get you something to clean up. The man stood. Stay here. Don't touch anything. And don't try to sneak out. There's nowhere for you to go. The girl didn't respond. She waited for him to leave, then started to search around the room. She noticed a nearby phone book on a table and checked it, realizing she was at the same place her parents would bring her during vacations. The Marsh house. Her heart clenched as she thought of her family, but she continued searching around until she spotted the man's radio. She quickly grabbed it. Hello? Hello? I don't know if anyone can hear me. But I'm okay. I'm at the Marsh house. She waited for a response but didn't get one. Please, don't leave me here. Kenny? Carly? Anyone? Still nothing. The girl stood up and went to the window, but it was boarded, and they were way too high up for her to climb down anyway. There was no way out except the door. Hello? Clementine's eyes widened as she heard a voice. A child's voice. Danielle, is that you? I'm at the Marsh house. Tell the others I'm okay and What are you doing? Fuck. Clementine jerked away and turned to face him. His eyes burned into her and he bared his teeth, charging over to grab the radio. I warned you not to touch anything. The man said. I didn't want to do this. Fear spreads through her and she wonders what he means by those words. That could have gone better, Kenny sighed. Everyone okay? Krista asked. Clem's still missing. Kenny reminded. Krista sent him a look. Shut up. Where is Clem? Danielle asked, looking concerned. We're gonna find her, Danny, Carly said. Find her? Danielle asked. That arsehole took her, Kenny said. What? Danielle stammered. We're gonna get her back. We just have to get out of here, Carly said. Right, let's get out of here and keep moving, Omid said. Kenny nodded. We gotta keep moving, if there's any chance we're gonna save Clem. The others began looking around the attic. Omid checked a window. Well, we're not going out through this window. No latches, no roof access, and 30 feet straight down. Damn. Kenny muttered. Anyone have any ideas? Omid looked at a statue bust. I bet this guy would. He's got a resourceful air about him. Krista huffed. Knock it off. Omid began reading the plaque on the bust. Dixon Ken III, Industrial. Omid, Krista hissed. Krista. I'm just trying to lighten the fucking tone. Omid shot back. We need solutions, not stupid jokes. Krista retorted, then tried to calm herself. I'm sorry. Kenny sighed. So, no ideas, then? No one responded. We need to get the hell out of here. Then we'll get Clementine and then what? Kenny asked. We get the fuck out of cities. I'm done with cities. We go into the countryside and make a go of it. Yeah, that seems like a good idea to me. Kenny glared at him. Nobody asked you. You just did, Ben said. Don't get fucking smart with me, Ben, Kenny hissed. Chill, Krista said. Why yeah. Please, chill, Ben said. Kenny narrowed his eyes. Where the hell do you get off? I'm just saying we should all chill, not just you, Ben said. Chill? Bandits, hey, chill, here's some pills, Kenny snapped. What's next, asshole? You gonna throw us to the walker and tell them to chill? This isn't my fault, Ben said. I can't point to one thing that's happened that isn't somehow your fault. Maybe we should have left you and Crawford, Kenny said. Ben huffed at that. Fuck you, Kenny. Danielle gasped and covered her ears. Whoa, Ben, Carly said. Krista stopped her. No, let him. I am so sorry about Catjar and Duck, I am. And I know I fucked up, but stop pushing me around and stop wishing I was dead, Ben snapped. Kenny tries to speak. No. You know how they died. You've said goodbye. I never got to see my family, my parents, my little sister, do you get that? Your family is gone, but at least you had them to lose. I never made it home. They could be alive or dead or walkers or worse and I don't know. So give me a fucking break. Ben huffed, picking up the bust and throwing it at the wall. Silence filled the area for a bit. You ruined that dude's face, Omid commented. Shut up, sweetie. Look. Krista motioned to the wall. Kenny examines the hole in the wall and pulls out another chunk of the wall. It's corroded to hell. What's on the other side of this wall, a 30-foot drop? Krista asked. Omid shook his head. No, this mansion butts up against the one next door. I'll be damned, Kenny said. We're not lifers on Alcatraz here, we can't spend the next 3 months digging through a wall, Krista said. If the rest is as dilapidated as this, we might not have to. Let's see. Kenny picks up a nearby coat rack and smashes the wall with a coat rack. This wall ain't shit. We can do this. We'll work in shifts. I'll take first shift, then come get one of you. The others nodded in agreement. Come on, Danny, Carly said to the young girl, taking her hand and leading her over to the couch. Kenny continues breaking the wall with the coat rack. Ben frowned and looked to Kenny. I'm sorry. I get it. Just go sit down, kid, Kenny said. Ben sighs and goes to sit on the floor in the corner. The others sit on the couch while Danielle sits nearby quietly holding Flopsy, Clementine's radio set beside the young child. So when we get this guy, what do you think? Omid asked the others. Make sure he can't come after us again, Carly said. Vernon shook his head at this. You got something to say? Krista asked, noticing this. I'm just wondering if that child is even alive. He kidnapped a little girl, and you think you're gonna get her back unharmed? Vernon said. We'll get her back before he can harm her, Carly said. Suddenly the radio beside Danielle goes off. Hello? The voice breaks up a bit, static coming through. And as the others talk, they don't realize it. Danielle tries to see if the voice will speak again as more static comes through. Kenny? Carly? Anyone? Danielle realizes that has to be Clementine. Hello? The girl calls into the radio. A moment passes before the girl hears Clementine speak again. Danielle, is that you? I'm at the Marsh house. Tell the others I'm okay and I. The radio suddenly cuts out. Danielle quickly stands and walks toward Carly. So, does the kid lose his shit like that often? Omid motioned to Ben. Carly shook her head. No, that was a first. It's good that he did. Kenny couldn't pull that shit on me, Krista said. Kenny lost his whole family thanks to what he did, Carly said. So I don't blame him. We lost a lot of people because of what he did. Really? What happened? Omid asked. It's not my place to talk about it. Just know, it wasn't good, Carly said. Jesus, Omid said. Well, it seems like it got through to Kenny. Whatever that's good for, Krista said. Carly, I heard Clem. Danielle grabs their attention. What? Carly asked the child. On the radio. She said she's at the something. The Marsh. Something. Danielle explained. The Marsh house? Vernon asked. Yeah, Danielle nodded. Yeah, that's it. Danielle handed the radio to Carly, who attempted to talk into it only to get no response. That's not far from here, Vernon said. Well, at least we know where she is now. Now we need to get out of here, Krista said. Kenny soon approaches the group. All right, I'm out of gas. He glanced to Omid. You look good and rested. Omid shrugged. Sure, if you don't count an infected leg. You want me to do it? Krista offered. Omid shook his head. Nah, hun, you can hop in after me. Omid takes over, smashing the wall with the coat rack, and Kenny takes his seat on the couch. Shouldn't be long now. It's good we're forced to take a breath. Kenny puts his head in his hand. Krista sends him a concerned look. How are you? I don't know how to answer that, Kenny said honestly. I'm sorry. You've lost more than anyone. Well, as much as anyone, Krista said. Kenny looked to Ben and huffed. Carly follows his gaze. Maybe take it easy on him from here on out. I'm angry as hell, Kenny said. Not at him, Carly said. Maybe not, Kenny said. He's a kid, Kenny. He's been through a lot too. Kenny sighed. I never really thought about it that way. Kenny leans down and takes a whiskey bottle out of a cardboard box nearby. Carly tell you much about what we've been through? Bits and pieces, Krista said. Makes sense. Kenny opens the bottle. Well, cheers. You're drinking in front of a child? Vernon scoffed, motioning to Danielle. She's seen worse, Kenny said. Kenny takes a sip and offers the bottle to Carly. No thanks. Carly refuses. Kenny then offers the bottle to Krista, but the woman refuses as well, not wanting to drink in front of Danielle. Vernon sighed again. Carly, I think maybe now's a good time for you and me to have a little talk. In private. Okay, Carly said. Danny, stay with Krista, okay? Okay, Danielle agreed. Carly and Vernon walked away from the group, out of their earshot. About what happened to Bree? That's not what I wanted to talk about. Vernon stopped her. What happened to Bree? It was awful. But I wanted to talk about your girl. Danielle. What about her? You're kidding yourself if you think putting everyone on a boat is gonna solve anything, Vernon said. I know it won't, Carly said. As soon as we find Clem, we'll come up with a plan. I hate to say it, but by time you get to her, it might be too late. She'll probably have been raped and murdered, Vernon said. That's not true, Carly argued. I'm not trying to upset you, but you need to be realistic. When kids went missing before the outbreak, there was a slim chance of the families getting them back. Now with all the fuck-up shit in this world, Vernon sighed. I don't think Clementine's chances are too high. I know you care about Danielle, which is why I'm going to make you an offer. What kind of an offer? Carly inquired. Vernon paused. I'll take Danielle off your hands. Take her back with me, to my people. We're well supplied, well hidden, and a lot of us have had kids of our own. And now Crawford's fallen, we got nothing left to fear from them. She'll be safe with us. Safer than she will be if she stays with you, I promise you. That's what you want for her, isn't it? To be safe? I'm gonna pretend you didn't say any of this and give you the chance to walk away, Carly hissed. I know you think you're doing what's best for her. But after what happened to Clementine, I can't see that you folks know what you're doing. It would be better this way. You wouldn't have to worry about losing another kid, Vernon said. Clementine's not dead. That kid is tougher than you think, Carly retorted. Tough or not, I don't think a little teenage girl stands a chance against a grown man. You don't know if this guy is alone. He could have a group. They could have done anything to her by now, Vernon said. She's fine, Carly said. We're gonna find her and bring her back. So quit trying to convince me that she's dead. I'm sorry if that's hard to hear. But it's the truth. Shut up. I don't give a damn what you think, we're not giving up on that girl, Carly said. And you're out of your damn mind if you think I'm gonna let you take Danielle. Before Vernon could say another word, Omid spoke. I'm through. Omid sets down the coat rack and looks through the medium-sized hole in the wall. No walkers. Things are looking up. As the others walked through, Kenny stopped Carly. What did the old man want? He thinks Clem's a goner, Carly replied. Like hell she is, Kenny said. And he offered to take Danielle, Carly added. That fucking asshole, Kenny grumbled. Calm down, Kenny, Carly said. He better watch his damn mouth unless he wants me to kick his ass, Kenny said. We don't need this right now. We need to focus on finding Clem. That's all, Carly said. Kenny sighed. Yeah. All right. Come on, let's catch up with the others, Carly said. The two go through the wall and drop down into the adjacent mansion where the others are. Danielle, who had been standing with Krista, immediately goes over to Carly and takes her hand. They noticed the others looking at two corpses holding hands lie in the bed, a gun in one of their hands, and their blood and brains splattered on the pillows. "Damn, don't look, Danny." Carly shielded the child's eyes. "I guess Crawford would have gotten them anyway," Krista muttered. Omid frowned. "It's sick, but think of all the pain they avoided." Kenny shook his head. "It's not right. How can people even do a thing like this? You're supposed to stick it out as long as you can. You do whatever you have to. I could have done more." "You did everything you could, Kenny," Carly said. "No, Carly. She left me, my son, the people that cared about us," Kenny mumbled. "I forgive her, but it don't make it any less wrong. You don't just end it 'cause it's hard. You stick it out, and you help the folks you care about. So let's figure a way out of here and get that little girl." "Yeah. We should move," Omid said. Krista nodded and Kenny went to the bed and took the gun from one of the corpses. He checks it. "Got at least one shot left," Kenny noted. The group looks around but finds nothing useful. Kenny opens the door to a balcony and looks outside. "Looks like we can stay off the streets all the way to River Street if we're careful." "Let's go," Krista said. "Actually, I think you two should stay here. And keep an eye on Danny," Carly said. "What?" Krista asked. "Omid's leg is still in bad shape, and I can't risk taking Danielle out there," Carly said. "I'll be fine," Omid claimed. "We can't risk it," Carly said. "Boo, but I wanna help," Danielle argued. "Danny, I need you to stay here," Carly said. Krista sighs. "Are you sure about this? I could go and—" "No, I need you to stay here and watch her. Please," Carly said. Krista finally nodded. "Okay. We'll get Clem back, and meet back here," Carly said. "Then we get the hell out of here," Kenny added. "Sounds good," Omid said. "I'm not going either. I need to get back to my people. And I'm not going on a rescue mission for a little girl who's probably already dead," Vernon said. Most of the group members glared at him. "We don't need you anyway," Kenny grumbled at him. "Keep an eye on Danny, please," Carly said to Krista. "And keep him away from her." Krista nodded, though she wondered what the two had talked about earlier. "We will." "Thank you." Carly knelt to Danielle's level. "You and Flopsy be good, okay? We'll be back soon." "Okay, are you gonna bring Clem back?" Danielle asked. "We will. I promise you," Carly said. "I hope so. I hope Clem's okay," Danielle said. "I'm sure she is," Carly said. "Be good for Krista and Omid." "Okay." Danielle nodded. Carly straightened up and looked at Kenny and Ben. "Let's go." "I didn't want to hurt you, Clementine. I just need you to behave." The man spoke to the teen with a frustrated tone. Just let me go," Clementine said, trying to break free from the rope he had used to tie her to the chair. "I can't do that, sweetie. It's not safe out there," the man said. "We're a family now. I can't let you put yourself in danger." "We're not family. I don't even know you," the girl snapped. "But I know everything about you," the man said. Clementine shook her head. "You don't." "Oh, sweetie, I do," the man claimed. "You're 15, you and your group were staying at a motor inn for a while and you were messing around with a young man named Sean." Clementine paled at that, her heart clenching at the mention of their old group, at the mention of Sean. Had this man been stalking them for that long? How did he know all this? "How do you think Kenny would feel if he found out?" the man asked. About what?" Clementine questioned back. "About you and Sean," the man said. Hearing this man say his name felt like taking an arrow to the chest. "Don't talk about him. He wouldn't be happy. I'm sure he would be disappointed to hear that Sean was sleeping with his little angel," the man said. "Shut up," Clementine snapped. "That's why you hid it from him," the man said. "Hid it from everyone." "Shut up," the girl yelled. The man suddenly struck her in the face, causing her to whimper a bit. "Watch your tone, Clementine." "Why, you said you know everything about me," Clementine mumbled out. "That's right." The man smirked. "Well, that's not true," Clementine said. "Come again?" the man asked. "I'm not 15," the girl muttered. "Then how old are you, Clementine?" the man asked. 16. My birthday was 6 days ago, was the girl's reply. The trio stood on the railing of the balcony, one by one jumping to the adjacent roof. As they continued to cross rooftop after rooftop, they noticed several walkers down below. Fuck. This is awful, Ben mumbled, on the verge of panic. Just keep moving, Carly said. You got that walkie-talkie? Kenny asked. Yeah, I do, Carly said, showing him the device. Good, just in case he tries to move her, Kenny said. They reached the end of the roof. A makeshift bridge of planks leads to the next one. Careful across here, Kenny muttered. The group crosses the bridge. River Street's just up ahead, Kenny said. They come across a hole in the roof. They can hear noise below. Even the buildings are full, Ben muttered. I don't see any down there, Carly said. You can hear them though, right? Ben asked. Let's keep going, you bunch of lollygaggers. Kenny places a hand on Carly's shoulder, making her jump a bit and accidentally drop the radio into the hole. Kenny's eyes widened. Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry. Shit, Carly mumbled. I am so fucking sorry, Kenny repeated. It's fine. We'll figure something out. Maybe I can reach it, Ben said. Carly shook her head. There's no reaching that, Ben. Well then, I'll just go in and get it, Ben said. Before they could say a word, Ben jumped down into the hole. Damn it. Ben, what the hell are you doing? Carly called. Ben picked up the radio and then called back. I got it, get me up. Kenny and Carly attempt to reach him, but they are too far away to do so. Fuck, we can't reach. Carly, find something, fast. Carly nods and began to look for something to help pull the boy up. Can you jump? Or find something to stand on? Kenny calls to Ben. I've tried jumping. And it's too dark in here, I can't see anything, Ben said. Damn it. It's so dark. Ben muttered to himself but jumped when he heard snarls approaching him. Gee guys. I hear something. I can't find anything sturdy. Carly rushes back over. We gotta do something else. Fuck it. Kenny huffed and jumped down into the hole. Kenny, what are you doing? Carly calls to him. Kenny begins to boost Ben up as walkers start to approach. Reach, kid. Reach. Ben manages to grab the ledge. Kenny quickly draws his pistol and shoots the approaching walkers as Ben manages to pull himself up. Kenny, come on. Carly calls to him. Just go. Kenny replied. Are you crazy? Carly asked. Just get the fuck out of here. Clem needs you, Kenny said. She needs you too, Kenny, Carly said. This is not a discussion. Kenny replied. What are you gonna do? Carly asked. Just fucking go. Kenny yells to them. They can hear Kenny yelling as he tries to fight off the walkers. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Ben muttered. Walkers continue to swarm him and soon Kenny is nowhere to be seen. Kenny? Carly yells to him. There's no response. Where'd he go? Ben asked. I don't know. We gotta keep moving, Carly said with a sigh. Ben looks down and noticed many of the walkers below are approaching the building, probably drawn by the gunshots. The gunshots must have drawn them here. Then we can move. The Marsh house is around the corner, we can make it inside while they're distracted, Carly said. Ben gave a sad nod, and the two crossed to the next roof, then proceeded to make their way to the ground. With most of the walkers distracted, Carly and Ben push forward. Eventually they see the sign for the Marsh house and make their way into the building. They start searching through the rooms, splitting up to find the girl. After a while of search, Carly enters a seemingly empty room. However, she quickly spots Clementine tied and gagged in a chair. She starts to approach the young girl but is forced to stop as a strange man points a gun at her. Hello, the stranger said. I wasn't expecting just you to show up. Carly doesn't respond. The man gestures with his gun. Go over there and put your things down. You don't have to do this, Carly said. Put your things down, now. The man orders. Carly puts her gun and the radio on the table. Good. Go sit down, the man said. Carly and the stranger sit in chairs facing opposite each other. The stranger's gun still aimed at her. Do you know who I am? He asked. No. You should. I bet you don't even realize what your people took from me, the man said. I don't know what you're talking about. But you have a lot of nerve to talk about taking from someone, Carly said. I didn't take her from you. I rescued her from you. Don't you get that? The stranger said. He paused for a moment then asked. Have you ever hurt somebody you care about? Not on purpose, Carly replied. Who? Probably a lot of people. We all do things we don't mean at some point, Carly said. What does that have to do with anything? I hurt her so bad. My son, Adam, went missing. I took him out hunting even though my wife said he was too young. I figured he had to learn. I came back without him and the look on her face said, you are a monster. We all went out looking for him. We never found him. I hurt her so bad. The man said. Then your people took all of our things. Robbed us. I could have earned her trust back. But not after that. I'm sorry, Carly said. The hungrier we got, the more she blamed me. Until she finally took our daughter, Elizabeth, and left. They didn't get far. I found them a day later. In the road. The stranger frowned. Do I look like a monster to you? She didn't respond. He narrowed his eyes. I'm not like you. You and your people. You're all monsters and thieves and I'm gonna hurt you so bad. The stranger leans down and looks in the bag at his feet. Hey, honey. I think this is all going to work out. Carly furrows her brows at that. What are you? She stops as she sees Ben open the door. Noticing her predicament, Ben begins to sneak toward the stranger, picking up a glass bottle from the table. I'm glad, too. I wish you wouldn't have had to get this bad, but it's all over, hun. Isn't it? I hate seeing you like this. I just miss your smile, honey. I miss you so much, Tess. The stranger said. Suddenly, Ben hits the stranger in the head with the bottle. Carly rushes towards her gun as the man quickly recovers from the blow and turns to Ben. He doesn't have time to react before the woman shoots him in the head. She rushes to Clementine's side. She begins to free the girl from her bindings and remove the gag from her mouth. Clem, wake up. It's me. She frowns seeing the bruises on the young girl's face. See Carly? Yeah. Carly hugged the girl. Did he hurt you? Not much. Where's everyone else? The girl asked. Carly sighed. We'll talk later, Clem. Let's get out of here. I can't. Ben suddenly speaks. Ben, what are you talking about? Carly asked. When I was out there, I ran into one of those things. I killed it but... Ben trailed off. But what? Carly urged him to continue. Ben frowns and lifted his arm to reveal bite. No. Fuck no. Carly muttered. I didn't mean for it to happen. Ben frowned. Please. Don't let me turn. Don't let me become one of them. Clementine whimpered a bit and suddenly hugged him. This is my fault. No, Clem. It's not, Ben said. Maybe you'll be okay, Clementine said, and the girl released him from her embrace. Maybe you won't turn. I don't want to chance it. Carly, please, Ben said. You can't shoot him. Clementine protested. Clem. It's okay, Ben said. I'm ready. Clementine turned away, feeling tears fall from her eyes. Don't let me turn, Carly. Ben sent her a pleading gaze. I won't. Carly frowned. I'm sorry, Ben. Clementine cried harder, turning away until she finally hears the gunshot, followed by Ben's body falling to the ground. Let's go, Clem, Carly said. Clementine couldn't bring herself to move, she trembled and sobbed. Clem. He knew everything. He knew about the motor inn, about the group. He knew about me and Sean. He knew everything, Clementine cried. Carly frowned and hugged the girl. It's gonna be okay, Clem. It's not okay, the girl cried. He kept saying we were a family, and that he was gonna go back for Danny so we could be together. Where's Danny? She fine. She's with Krista and Omid, Carly said. We need to get a move on. We'll get you back to the house, and I'll make sure you're not hurt anywhere. I'm not, Clementine said. I deserve to be hurt. This was all my fault. No, Clem. It's not, Carly said. We're gonna get out of here. And you'll be okay, Carly said. Can you walk? Are you sure you're not hurt? Clementine nodded. You're covered in blood, kid," Carly pointed out.
"It's not mine. He said he covered me so we could get inside. The walkers can't tell the difference when you have their blood on you." Clementine managed to get out through her tears. That gave Carly an idea. As the two got outside, Clementine was still shaken up. Carly managed to kill a nearby walker, and the woman used a knife that she had taken from the hotel room to cut the creature open before they covered themselves in its blood and guts. As they proceeded to walk through the street, moving through the herd, Carly realized that they were in fact going unnoticed by the walkers they passed. Everything was going fine until Clementine suddenly froze, seeing two familiar figures.
"Clem?
Mom, Dad?" the girl stammered out, her heart breaking even move. Carly wrapped her arms around the girl who was on the verge of tears. The woman ushered the small teen forward. "We have to keep moving, Clem. We have to." They too managed to walk through the herd and eventually get back to the house where Krista and Ahmed are at. When they get inside, Krista aims her weapon at them until she realizes it's them. "Fuck, are you two okay?" Ahmed asked.
"We're fine," Carly said.
"You're covered in blood,"
Krista noticed.
"Where are Kenny and Ben?" Ahmed asked. Clementine whimpers a bit at the mention of them.
"Let's talk later," Carly said.
"Is Danielle okay?" "She's upstairs, playing with Flopsy,"
Krista replied.
"And Vernon?" Carly asked. "He took off," Ahmed said.
"Guess that's for the best," Carly sighed.
"What's with the blood?"
Krista asked again. "We'll talk later, please," Carly said.
Seeing how shaken up Clementine was, Krista nodded. "Okay."
Danielle soon rushed down into the room. "You're back?"
"Yeah, hun.
"We are," Carly said.
"I'm glad you're okay," Danielle said, hugging them despite them being covered in walker blood. The child soon broke the hug. "Clem, are you okay?" Clementine didn't respond. She just needs some rest, Danny. "She'll be okay," Carly said. "Okay. Where are Kenny and Ben?" Danielle asked. "They're gone, sweetie," Carly answered sadly. Ahmed and Krista frowned at that. Danielle's face dropped as well.
"Oh," Danielle mumbled.
"Come on, you and Clementine should try to get some rest," Carly said. "I'll check the house for something clear for Clem and you to wear," Krista offered. "Thank you," Carly said, before leading the two girls to a room to try to rest.
"So,
what the hell happened?" Ahmed asked Carly. Clementine and Danielle were both asleep, and Carly and Clementine had changed into some spare clothing that Krista found in the mansion.
"Everything just went bad. Ben got bit. We got separated from Kenny," Carly explained.
"But Clem's okay?"
Krista asked. "She seemed to be in bad shape.
Physically, she says she is. But mentally, not at all," Carly said. "Poor kid," Ahmed sighed. "She'll never get over today. I'm glad we stayed here with Danielle." "She didn't need to see any of that," Krista said.
"No, she didn't," Carly said.
"Look, tomorrow, we get on the boat and we get the hell out of here. No looking back." "Fuck Savannah," Ahmed said. Carly nodded in agreement. "Fuck Savannah." "We should try to get some sleep," Krista said. "It's been a long few days, for everyone." Carly nodded in agreement. "Yeah,
it has."
The three agreed to try to get some rest, though they knew that would be easier said than done. When morning came, Carly woke the girls up and began to pack up what supplies they had. As Carly continued packing, Krista and Ahmed approached her. "Carly, we should talk," Krista said. "Okay, what is it?" Carly asked. "Ahmed and I had a chat last night." Krista spoke with some hesitance. "Okay," Carly said. "If your plan is to get on the boat, we think it might be best to go our separate ways," Krista said. "What?" Carly asked. "We're not coming with you," Krista said. "What the hell are you talking about?" Carly questioned, hoping she was hearing wrong. "Ahmed and I aren't coming. You have the boat, Kenny got it going, and you got Clementine back, so the way I see it, we're not needed anymore. Ahmed is healing up fine and we don't feel conformable in the idea of staying out at sea for who knows how long," Krista said. "It's safer than here," Carly replied. "Maybe for a while, but how will you get more gas if you run out? How will you get fresh water when supplies run low? You can't really drink sea water without boiling it."
And what about food? Any fish you catch will need to be cooked, and... Krista, I think she gets it, babe. Omid cut in. Krista shakes her head. All you are doing is avoiding the inevitable. That boat won't help you for very long. Let me guess, Vernon got into your head? Carly asked. Actually, yeah. He did. And for those reasons I gave. We're not sticking around, Krista said. I don't want to see anything bad happen to those girls. I can't. So that's it then? Why did you stick with us for this long then? Why did you even come to Savannah? Carly asked. It wasn't Krista who decided to come. I wanted to come, but it's not till we saw you had a kid with you that Krista changed her mind, Omid said. And for what it's worth, I truly hope you all make it to wherever you plan on going, Krista said. We'll go wherever's safe, Carly said, then sighed. You're really leaving me with 2 kids. We have to focus on ourselves. Clementine's capable. And I know you and her can protect Danielle, Krista said. We'll say our goodbye to the girls and go our separate ways. They're gonna be devastated, you know that. Carly pointed out. That's why we were hesitant to say anything, Omid said. But they deserve to know, Krista said. Know what? Clementine asked. We're leaving, Clem. Krista told her with a sigh. Leaving where? Danielle's voice was heard before Clementine could ask. We're just not sticking around, girls. I'm sorry, Krista said. Where will you go? Clementine asked. We'll figure that out, Krista said. You girls take care of yourselves. I mean that. Krista hugged both of the girls. And after a teary goodbye they split ways. To Clementine it felt like everything was getting worse and worse. Later into the day, Carly, Clementine, and Danielle arrive at the first house the group had been at. They notice a dead walker on the ground but continue on. Carly had to tug Clementine forward as the guilt-ridden girl noticed Molly's corpse. They decide to check the house for anything useful. All the walkers have cleared out since the last time they had been there. However, Carly quickly notices they're not the only ones in the house as she hears mumbling. The woman draws her gun, telling the girls to stay back as she goes to see who is there. She enters the living room and is surprised to see Vernon, sitting on the couch, the bottle of liquor in his hands. Vernon? Vernon jumped and looked at her. What are you doing here? Carly asked. I made a mistake. Vernon slurred out. What are you talking about? Carly asked, then huffed as he took another drink of the liquor. I thought you didn't drink. I don't, Vernon said. What are you doing here? Carly asked again. Vernon is quiet for a while, then randomly asked, do you believe in karma? Karma? Yeah. The whole, what goes around comes around, Vernon said. Yeah. I do, Carly said. Well, I guess it's true, Vernon said. What do you? I got bit by a damn walker hiding behind a trash can. The thing snuck up on me, Vernon said. It's my fault. I should have been more careful. Hell, I shouldn't have tried to steal the damn boat in the first place. You tried to steal the boat? Carly asked, shocked by that. I didn't have much of a choice. I wanted to get my people out of here. I felt bad, Vernon said. Carly just glared at him. You're the only one here? I'm guessing the others are dead? Vernon asked. Clem and Danny are with me, Carly said. Krista and Omid took off, thanks to you. Ah, so you saved the girl. Is she broken? Vernon asked. She's fine, Carly claimed. That's good, I guess. Better off than I thought she'd be, Vernon said. I have a request to make. What is it? Shoot me, please, Vernon asked. I can't become one of those things. I don't want to hurt anyone. Did your group come with you? Carly asked him. I told them to go back. Just in case you showed up. The young should be the ones to survive. I'm sure they're not happy that I brought them all this way for nothing. I just hope they'll be okay, Vernon said. Please. It'll be quick. 1 bullet and it's over. Please. Carly sighs at this but nods. Okay. Thank you, Vernon said. Clementine and Danielle stayed put for a while, though Clementine wondered what was taking so long. Should we check on her? Danielle asked. I'll check on her, Clementine said. Stay here. Before the girl could do so, a gunshot rang out. Eyes wide, Clementine rushed to see what had happened. Danielle followed the girl. Carly? Carly, what? Carly lowered her gun as she turned to them. Let's go, girls. What happened? Clementine asked. Let's just get the hell out of here, Carly said. A week had passed since everything. They had been on the boat for a week. However, their days so far were anything but smooth. Clementine was constantly getting sick and Carly couldn't help but feel worried. While the woman knew it could just be the teen becoming seasick, the girl's other symptoms had Carly thinking otherwise. Aside from being hit with random bouts of nausea, Clementine was also experiencing cravings and fatigue. Carly had also realized the teen hadn't said anything about her menstrual cycle for over a month. Back when they were at the motel, the teen would come to her or Lily for period supplies and pain pills. A month without mention of even a mere cramp also raised alarm bells. Although Carly knew the girl could just have an irregular cycle, especially with the limited amount of food she had been consuming, she wondered if all these symptoms pointed to something else. She couldn't help but recall what Clementine had said when she found the young girl. He knew about me and Sean. Carly sighed. She couldn't be sure of anything, but she needed to talk to Clementine. With Danielle fast asleep, Carly decided to ask Clementine some question, recalling what the girl said about her and Sean. Clem, were you and Sean sleeping together? What? Clementine choked a bit, eyes wide. Why are you asking me that? I don't want you to freak out or anything, but... The woman trailed off for a moment, wondering how the teen would take this. But what? Clementine asked. What is it? Clem, I think you might be pregnant, Carly said, causing the teen's heart to drop. It wasn't the first time she had felt like this. Clementine groaned as a sharp wave of nausea hit her, and the next minute, she found herself leaned over the boat, throwing up. She was already tired of this. She hated being sick. And she worried that if she felt this bad right now, how bad would she feel as her pregnancy progressed? She, Carly, and Danielle had gotten over seasickness after the first week of their watery journey, but morning sickness for Clementine was another story. It had been about a month since they left Savannah, and so far, their trip had been anything but smooth sailing. Clementine didn't know how to feel about the pregnancy. She hadn't had a test to absolutely confirm it, so some days she would go back and forth with herself, thinking perhaps she was just sick with a bug, not pregnant. Though she knew that wasn't the case. She was showing symptoms of pregnancy. That truly scared her. She didn't know how to be a parent. She didn't know what to expect from a pregnancy. She had read books in health class, but that felt like centuries ago, and it had only touched on the basics of pregnancies. Clementine had never expected to have a child. Especially when the dead started walking, the idea of having a baby never crossed her mind. Raising a little child in a world like that, willingly bringing a child into a world like that felt insane. And she worried it would be impossible to properly care for the baby. You okay, kid? Carly asked. I will be, Clementine said. You should try to get some rest, Carly suggested to the teen. That was easier said than done. Resting on a moving boat was anything but fun. Clementine was floored that Danielle was fast asleep at the moment. I wish I could. You should try, Carly said again. Yeah, I guess. But what about you? Clementine asked. Don't worry about me, Clem. I'm supposed to be looking after you too, Carly replied. But you gotta take care of yourself too, Clementine said. I know, Carly said. Don't worry about taking care of me. We'll look out for each other. And Danielle, Clementine said. It's impossible for me not to worry about you, Clem. Before Clementine had the chance to answer, she noticed Danielle stirring a bit. Is it morning already? Danielle gave a tiny yawn as she cracked her eyes open. Yeah, kiddo. But you can go back to sleep, Clementine said. It's still super early. Are you gonna go back to sleep too? Danielle asked. Not right now? Clementine shrugged. Oh. Are you okay? You're not sick again, are you? Danielle asked, looking concerned. I'm fine, Danny. Don't worry about me, Clementine said. That seemed to be all they ever did, worry about her. She really wished they didn't. Is the baby making you sick? Danielle asked. We don't know for sure there is a baby, Danny, Clementine said. But Carly said, "We don't know for sure." Clementine quickly repeated. Carly sent the young girl a look while biting back a sigh. Clementine knew she was probably acting unrealistic. She was sure she was pregnant, but it was a scary thing to admit. Since the start of the Walkers, she didn't ever think she'd ever have a child. With how things are, as she didn't see herself settling down anywhere anytime soon. And when she did have that hope, that maybe one she and Sean could be together, that was all taken away by a single bullet. It hurt to think about, made her sick to her stomach. Part of her wondered if she would ever get over it. If she decided to have the child, would it be hard to look at them and remember their father? Could she handle that? She didn't know, but the thought of not having the child hurt even more. At least with this baby she would have a piece of him. The young girl also worried what her parents would think. Would they have been disappointed with her? Would they have been angry? She could only imagine how they would take the news of their newly turned 16-year-old being pregnant. She was sure her father would have a heart attack if he had heard she was even sexually active. Not only that, but they already had a child to look after. A child that had been traumatized by the world around her. And Clementine and Carly both vowed to do their best to protect little Danielle. They were still actively searching for Wellington, hoping it would truly be a safe place. They spent their days navigating through the water as they felt it was safer than traveling on land. Their biggest concern was food. They knew it would be harder to get on the water when they were running low. Clementine was drawn out of her thought by Danielle's little voice speaking. "I'm hungry. Can I have something to eat?" "Sure, kiddo. But we don't have much." Carly dug into their supply bag, offering the child some crackers sticks with cheese. They were running severely low. If they didn't find food soon, they would surely starve. "What about you, Clem? Are you hungry?" "I'm fine," Clementine said. "You know the baby needs food," Carly sighed. "We don't know for sure that I'm pregnant," Clementine firmly said. She didn't want to think about the pregnancy. Not right now. Every time she did, she felt too many emotions to handle. Carly did sigh at this. The girl was being stubborn, and she didn't know what to do about it. Their boat continued forward as Danielle munched on her crackers and Clementine stared out to sea. A few hours had passed. Danielle was playing with Flopsy while Clementine and Carly were chatting amongst one another. They were all surprised when the boat motor suddenly began to sputter as the boat rolls forward, and to their dread, they realized they were about to run out of fuel. They needed to get to the shore. One of the worst things that could happen is they run out of fuel while they're miles away from shore. They managed to continue sailing for another hour or so, before Danielle caught sight of something in the distance. "Look!" Clementine and Carly turned their attention to what the child was pointed at, and they noticed a large boat coming their way. Their boat was nearly out of gas, and it was just their luck to see that ship in the distance, coming their way. However, realization dawned on Carly as the ship continued approaching and the boat neared. The approaching ship wasn't slowing down, it was going to crash right into them. "Oh shit." Carly tried to move their boat, but the motor only sputtered again. "Please don't let us run out of gas." That phrase seemed to jinx them as the boat stopped moving, the gas showing the empty sign. Shit, shit, shit. The large boat that was approaching clearly didn't see them. Seeing an incoming collision on course, Carly fought the urge to panic. "We have to jump." What? Clementine and Danielle both gasped. "Into the water, we have to jump," Carly said. I don't know how to swim," Danielle stammered. "It's okay, I'll keep you afloat." "Jump," Carly said. They braced themselves before jumping. Upon resurfacing, they coughed a little, catching their breath. Carly held onto Danielle to keep the child afloat. "Are you okay?" Danielle gave a tiny nod, coughing a bit. "What about you, Clem?" "I'm fine," Clementine called back. Forced to jump into the water, they watch as the boat continues forward, abruptly crashing into and destroying their ship. They were grateful they hadn't been in the ship at the time, as there was no way they would have survived that. The crash, however, caused the aircraft carrier to stop. "Holy shit!" A voice calls out as a panicked young man looks overboard. "Are you guys okay?" "We're okay," Carly calls back before muttering under her breath, "Barely." "Our boat's sure not," Clementine huffed. "We're gonna send some folks down to help you," the young man called to them. It wasn't too long before a few members from the boat had sent ropes down to rescue the trio from the water. And soon they were on the aircraft carrier. I'm so sorry about that. We didn't see you guys until we had already made impact, the young man said, once they had been taken upon the aircraft carrier. I figured, Carly said. None of you are hurt, right? He asked, clearly concerned. We're not hurt. We jumped just in time, Carly said. We can have our medic check you out. If that's okay, even if you're not hurt, we usually have newcomers get checked for bites, the young man said. We don't plan on staying long. Clementine spoke up. I understand. But, with your ship's condition, I don't see you guys leaving anytime soon, he replied. We can get you to shore though. Which way were you guys heading? North actually. Hoping to get to a place called Wellington, Carly said. Wellington. I've heard of it. We didn't know if it was a fairy tale or not, the young man said. Well, we figured it's worth finding out, Carly responded. For the time being, you guys should get checked out by the medic, the young man said. Both Clementine and Danielle seemed hesitant. It's okay, girls, Carly reassured. All right, we'll get checked out. Before we go, we're going to need to take your weapons, the young man said. Can I ask why you? Carly asked. They're not necessary. Only our trained soldiers carry weapons on this ship, was the response. Do you really think that's a smart idea? Carly said. Captain's rules. I just enforce them. The captain hasn't led us astray yet. So, I see no reason to question him. Carly hummed at that. I'd feel more comfortable keeping my weapons with me, Clementine said. I can't allow that. I assure you, you're safe here. You don't need the guns, the young man said. Clementine and Carly exchanged looks. Clementine started to protest but Carly spoke first. Put your gun down, Clem. Clementine frowned ready to protest. But, your gun. Put your gun down, Carly said, emphasizing the word gun. Realizing what she was doing, Clementine nodded and placed her gun down, making sure to keep any other weapons hidden away. Perfect. Follow me. I'll have our medic check you all for bites. With that they were led to the medical bay where they were checked for wounds, specifically bites. Both Carly and Danielle were declared clean. However, the medic froze upon spotting a wound on Clementine. You're bit. You've been bit. It's old. I promise, Clementine said, unable to stop herself from stuttering. The medic could see that the bite was in fact old, but it still rose concern. I think the captain should see this, the medic said. It's not fresh. This happened a long time ago, I swear. Clementine told him, hoping her would listen. The medic didn't know how to respond. The captain should see this. He simply repeated, clearly shaken up by this. The medic left to alert the captain of his findings. Clementine found her heart pounding in her chest. See Carly, what if they won't do anything? We'll explain the situation to them, Carly said. What if they don't believe us? Clementine asked. The bite's old. It looks old. That's the truth. And they can take it as it is. We're gonna be okay. Just calm down, Carly said. Clementine nodded, taking a few breaths to calm herself. Before long the captain had entered the room to speak with Clementine and Carly. You can call me Captain Harvey. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking to? He introduced himself before asking their names. I'm Carly. This is Clementine and the little one is Danielle. Carly introduced as well. Danielle seemed nervous being around these unknown men. Sorry. They can be cautious around people, Carly said. Understandable. But I'll assure you, you're safe here. I'd like to apologize for crashing into your ship, Captain Harvey. You nearly killed us. Clementine huffed. And I truly apologize. From the bottom of my heart. If we had saw you sooner, we would have turned the ship away, but by time we did spot you, it was already too late. Captain Harvey said. It's fine. Fortunately, no one got hurt. Our boat happened to run out of gas right when you guys were heading our way. And seeing your ship wasn't slowing down, our best option was to jump, Carly said. I see. Well, I'm glad you're all okay and once again, I apologize. The captain said, his tone quickly lowered, more serious. I heard the medic checked you all over.
Yes, Clementine said.
But he mentioned to me that one of you has a bite. Captain Harvey continued. Clementine flinched at that.
Is that true, young lady?
Captain Harvey asked, noticing her reaction.
It's old. I got it a long time ago,
and I haven't turned yet or had any symptoms.
It's been over a month.
Clementine nervously explained to the man.
A month,
you say?
The captain rose a brow.
Clementine gave a nervous nod.
May I see it?
Captain Harvey asked. Clementine hesitantly allowed him to look at the bite.
The captain looked at the wound and was surprised to see that it was indeed old.
This is amazing.
That was the last thing Clementine expected to hear out of the man's mouth. You're immune?
I guess so. Clementine answered.
That's incredible.
Would you allow our medic to test your blood?
You don't have to, but
if you're willing,
Captain Harvey asked. Of course,
I don't want you to feel forced. This is your choice.
It would just be something very interesting for our doctors to study into. Like a science project?
Clementine frowned at the thought. No, not like that. While it would be helpful for research, I don't want you to feel like a science project or anything of that sort. It's just unexpected.
You're the first person I have ever heard of being immune,
the captain said. If you don't feel comfortable, I fully understand. I have children of my own.
A son a few years older than you, actually, and I couldn't imagine anyone trying to use one of my kids for science.
You can take time to make a decision.
Whatever you decide is okay. So,
you wouldn't try to treat me like some science experiment? Clementine asked.
No way. I don't believe in taking away a person's freedom or treating anyone inhumane. I have morals. My wife and children are on board, and I wouldn't want to treat anyone how I wouldn't want to see my family treated, Captain Harvey said.
That's good,
Clementine said,
feeling relieved.
Clearly this man was simply trying to do his best by his people, and it seemed his morals were higher than most who would be in command, probably because he still had a family, he had people who he loved and cared about. Yeah. Not many people have morals nowadays,
Carly said.
I could agree with that statement, the captain said.
I guess I'm okay with you taking some of my blood, Clementine muttered. But could we have some food first? We haven't had much to eat for days.
And the last thing I want is to pass out.
Beyond making sure Danielle was fed, both Clementine and Carly were doing their best to reserve food as they had been starting to run low.
They probably only had enough for a few more days.
Of course. The captain agreed. We have plenty of food.
Can I ask how you have plenty of food?
Especially with the way things are now,
Carly asked.
Some of my crewmates used to be fishermen, before the dead.
So, we offer them protection and a home, and they catch food in return for that. It works well, since not everyone here is soldier.
People here have different roles, and they carry them out well.
One of my officers, for example, has a brother who was a chef before the dead started walking, and he made a deal to cook in exchange for his family to live on the ship,
Captain Harvey said.
That seemed like a good compromise,
Carly said.
If I do say so, myself. The captain nodded.
Come on,
I'll take you guys to the dining area. The group was led out of the medical bay, Danielle clutching close to Clementine as they left the area.
It's okay, Danny,
Clementine said, keeping the girl close to her.
We're okay. As they headed out, they noticed many civilians on the ship. In fact,
there were more civilians than soldiers.
And as they were led toward the dining area, they realized there had to be at least a couple hundred people on the ship.
Carly wondered how such a huge group was thriving so well on a boat. The place seemed like a nice community. It was amazing to see how they had turned an aircraft carrier into a home for so many people. Perhaps it had been just their luck to find the carrier, right when their ship was starting to fail on their travels. A lot of us were military. But we turned the aircraft carrier into a community where people could live. We figured it would be a lot safer staying on the water than the land, Captain Harvey explained. We figured the same. We've been navigating through the water, hoping to find Wellington, Carly said.
Well, you're welcome to stay here, if that's what you want. We have plenty of space.
Families, kids, the captain said.
That all?
Sounds really nice, Carly said. We'll definitely consider it.
Clementine didn't know about that, however. If she was truly pregnant, she didn't think she'd want to raise her child on a boat. She would much more prefer land. I've noticed a few people carrying weapons, but ours were taken when we entered the ship. I take it you prohibit them from certain people? Carly asked. Well, it depends. You folks are newcomers, so for our protection, we prefer to have you unarmed. At least until we get to know you more. Captain Harvey said. Makes sense, but what about the other people on the ship? Carly questioned. I think weapons should only be used when needed, and only by people who have been properly taught how to use them. Captain Harvey replied. I understand your intentions, but with the world the way it is now, I don't know if that's the best way of thinking. I think everyone should be able to defend themselves, Carly said. There's no need for you to worry. We rarely deal with attacks and anything we've faced we always easily handled. Captain Harvey replied. But you can't assume that will always be the case. Sometimes the unexpected can happen, Carly sighed. It hasn't happened yet. And I wouldn't want people to worry about that. Life is too short to worry all the time. The captain said. Come on, this way. As they got to the dining area, they noticed some people eating fried fish. The captain urged them to take a seat and dig in. Do you have any canned food? Clementine asked. Not a fan of fish? Captain Harvey asked. Not exactly, Clementine said with a tiny shrug. She didn't want to seem picky, but she knew that women shouldn't eat much seafood when pregnant. And if indeed she was, she wanted to take precautions. Allergies? Captain Harvey asked. Something like that, Clementine replied. I understand. Captain Harvey gave a nod. We do keep canned food and other sort for people who can't tolerate fish. Any preferences? Anything is okay, Clementine said. All right then, Captain Harvey said. After seating themselves they were soon served their food. Clementine noticed Danielle seemed hesitant to eat. You okay, Danny? The child just gave a tiny nod. You can eat. It's all right, Clementine said. Danielle still seemed hesitant. The food's safe, kiddo. I'm sure, Carly assured her. With that assurance, Danielle slowly took a bite. The three began eating a meal, finally able to feel full after what had seemed like forever. So how long have you guys been on the sea? Captain Harvey asked. About a month. We were coming from Savannah, Carly replied. What do you think of sea travel so far? Captain Harvey wondered. It's not the best. Though. We're mostly past the seasickness, Clementine said. It's been decent, Carly said. It's definitely a different way to travel. The faster we get to Wellington, the better, Clementine said. If you're set on that. But if you want to stick around here, you're welcome. Who knows, you folks might change your mind about Wellington. Captain Harvey said. I don't know about that. We've been set on it, Carly said. Well, at least you know this place is real. Wellington isn't a guarantee, the captain said. But whatever you decide to do, regardless, I support your decision. We appreciate the offer, Carly said. The group continued to eat before the captain had someone lead them back to the medical bay while he checked on his crew. As they sat in the medical bay, the medic gathered what he needed to take and test Clementine's blood. Before you get started, I have a question. Carly spoke. I might have an answer, the medic said. Would you be able to test if someone was pregnant? Carly asked. Clementine's face flushed with slight embarrassment at Carly's question. The medic rose a brow at Carly and asked, Are you? Not me, Carly said. The medic's eyes widened as he looked to the young teen. We can test. How old are you? It doesn't matter. We just need a test. Please. We're pretty certain, but we'd like confirmation. Carly spoke for Clementine. I understand. Easiest way to confirm this is with a pregnancy test, the medic said. I just pee on it, right? Clementine asked. You would. But unfortunately, we don't have one. The medic sighed. Then. What? How will you tell? Clementine asked. There are certain signs that can point to pregnancy. And you can tell me if you've experienced any of these. The medic said. Okay, Clementine said. Like a questionnaire. That's right. The medic nodded. How accurate is just questioning? Carly asked. It's the best we can get. Urine pregnancy tests are about 99% accurate. Blood tests are even more accurate. The medic replied. I could ask some questions and then take a blood test to be sure. Okay, Carly said. It's gonna be okay, Clem. Clementine wanted to believe that, but she didn't. I have to say, I'm surprised. You look so young. The medic said. 16. I just turned 16, Clementine sighed. My point exactly. You're young. The medic commented. Yeah. But stuff happens, Clementine said. Fair enough. The medic said. Clementine waited anxiously for his questions. She hoped to herself that she had nothing more than a virus. That she wasn't in fact pregnant. She knew after this she would no longer be able to deny it. This would confirm if she truly was pregnant or not. She was beyond nervous, she didn't feel ready to be a mother. Her heart was racing, and she could feel the palms of her hands sweating. She couldn't bring herself to look at the man. What symptoms have you been experiencing? The medic asked. I've been getting sick a lot, Clementine said. And throwing up. Sick like nausea? Clementine nodded. And vomiting. The medic muttered. Do you usually vomit during a certain time? In the mornings mostly. But other times as well. Clementine answered. I see. The medic hummed. Have you been having any smell sensitivity? Any fatigue? I have been more tired lately. Clementine replied. When do the symptoms start? When was your last menstrual period? The medic asked. It's been a long time. That was the first concern we had, Clementine said. I was getting sick a lot. I hadn't had my period and every once in a while, I would get a weird cramping. Like a mild period cramp. What about your mood, how has that been? The medic questioned. It's been fine. Clementine quickly claimed. Carly shook her head. She has mood swings. Carly, Clementine exclaimed with a huff. I can tell. The medic gave a tiny chuckle. Clementine rolled her eyes at that. The questions continued. Have you noticed any changes in your breast, any aching or pain? They do feel tender at time, Clementine said, face flushing with embarrassment. What about visual changes? Have you noticed any? The medic asked. Kind of. Clementine muttered. Can you elaborate? The medic urged her to clarify. My nipples. They seem different. Darker, Clementine said. Would you mind if I? Clementine quickly cut him off. If you what? Examine you? The medic finished. I do mind. Clementine huffed, crossing her arms over her chest. Clem, it's okay, I won't let anything bad happen to you. Carly assured the girl. Clementine looked to the woman, fear clear in her eyes. But Carly. A breast exam is normal, Clem, Carly said. I know. But I'm right here. I won't let anything happen. You have to know, Carly said. I know. I'm just nervous, Clementine said. You'll be okay, Carly said. Clementine shakily gave a nod. Oh okay, she still felt nervous. She wished that this had been a female doctor or nurse, but she knew Carly wouldn't allow her to be hurt. The medic allowed her to disrobe, removing her shirt and bra. He had the teen take a seat and he then began to conduct his exam. The medic visually inspects her breasts. Clementine felt like she would die from embarrassment. Eventually the medic spoke. Darkened areolas are a normal sign of early pregnancy. So, what are you saying? Clementine asked, picking up her shirt and bra to redress herself. Upon doing so, she lowered her head and trembled a bit. She knew exactly what he was going to say. Well, he began to say. Clementine looked to her, then Carly. Carly took the young girl's hand, sensing how nervous she was. With all the symptoms you're experiencing, I can confirm that you are indeed pregnant. The medic said. Clementine felt her heart sink and she fought back tears. Are you sure? That's what everything points to, kid. The medic replied. Clementine didn't know how to feel. I am pregnant. Carly. I'm pregnant. I know, sweetie. We're gonna get through this, okay, Carly said. She wondered how Sean would have felt if he had been here. Would he be excited or disappointed? Aside from that, how would her parents feel? That felt like a more important question. One that was hard to think about. There's a slim chance that I could be wrong. A blood test could be given to double-check. The medic told the girl. You're not wrong. Somehow, she just knew. I'm an idiot. Clementine muttered, her voice thin. No, you're not, Carly said. Yes, I am, Clementine said, a wave of dizziness cresting over her. How am I supposed to raise a child in a world like this? We'll figure this out. You're not alone, Clem, Carly said. At this moment, Clementine felt like an awful person. There were people who couldn't have children. People always said babies were a gift. So why did she feel this way? Shouldn't she be grateful? Instead, she felt like she was going through a phase of grief. Which honestly made sense. She had lost so many people and now, she was going to have a baby. How was she going to raise a baby? I'm not ready to have a baby, Clementine said. She barely knew who she was. She wasn't ready to be responsible for a baby. And although she had decided to take on a role of caring for Danielle, it was different. This was a new life, and a baby would drastically change everything. There are options. You can do what's been for you, the medic said. I could never even consider that other option, Clementine said. It's going to be okay, Clem. We're gonna get through this together, Carly said. The girl gave a small nod, but tears began to flow. Carly pulled the teen into a hug to comfort her. As the young girl finally calmed, the captain had returned, curious to find out what they could learn from Clementine's blood. Noticing the mood of the room, he asked, Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Carly quickly said. Okay then. Captain Harvey sent Clementine a serious look. Are you okay with us testing your blood? Like I said before, we don't want to push you into it, but it could be a useful study. I guess so, Clementine sighed. I could also test your blood for pregnancy if you'd like. Just a double test, the medic said. I already know the results. I know what you said is right, Clementine said. Why, you're pregnant? Captain Harvey was surprised. Yeah, I am. Clementine muttered her confirmation. Oh, well, congratulations. Thanks, Clementine said, though she clearly didn't seem thrilled. Okay, let's do this, the medic said, grabbing his needed equipment. As the medic readied to take the girl's blood, the ship gave a sudden jerk. What the hell was that? Carly asked. The captain perked up, looking worried. What's going on? Carly asked. Before the man could answer, an urgent voice was heard over the loudspeakers. This is a code red. I repeat. This is a code red. We are under attack. What the hell? Clementine gasped. Another loud blast of gunfire was heard, so loud that the whole ship was alarmed. They barely had time to realize what was happening. The captain quickly jumped into action upon hearing that. He rushed out of the medical bay to order people to take cover. He knew they were vulnerable. Their ship wasn't full of fighters. Beyond the few soldiers on the ship, the boat was full of members who were not trained to defend themselves. Knowing this, the captain wanted anything but to put his people at risk, especially knowing his family was on board. He hoped he'd be able to strike up a deal with their attackers, by offering them supplies. Yet he worried his offer would be ignored. As if they really wanted supplies, if they did, they could simply take it. Fear filled the ship as sudden gunfire rang out and the people started to panic. They all ran in a disorderly fashion and tried to hide an oar behind something, and some stayed trying to surrender, not knowing how fucked they were. They could hear the chaos from the outside from the medical bay, and feeling concerned about what was going on, they decided to aid Captain and the ship. We gotta do something, Clementine said. We have to go out there and help. You can't just go out there, it's not safe, the medic argued. We have to do something. We can't just sit back and wait around to be killed, Clementine said. If you go out there, you're as good as dead. Let the captain and the soldiers handle this and stay where it's safe, the medic said. It's not safe in here either. We can help them. We can fight back, Clementine said. What can you do? You're a little girl, the medic said. Clementine shot him a look. Don't underestimate me. Don't be stupid, kid. Look, we We have a safety bunker. It'll be safer for you three there. I'll take you to it. Come on, the medic said. The medic attempted to open the door, but it was forced open before he had the chance. The boss said not to kill the women or girls. They could be useful. A voice reached their ears just before the door had opened. The medic was shoved back by one of the attackers, and before they knew what was happening, the doctor was shot by the attacker. A few more men forced their way into the infirmary attempting to grab them, Clementine shielding Danielle behind her. Clementine and Carly fought against their captors, Clementine drawing her knife and stabbing the man holding her in the knee before quickly withdrawing and using the weapon to stab him in the neck. Carly quickly drew her gun, shooting each remaining man. Oh my gosh. They killed him, Clementine stammered. We don't have time for this. We need to find the captain. It sounds like they need some help, Carly said. Clementine nodded, her and Danielle sticking close to Carly as they ran from the medical bay. Their attackers were hurling bullets all over the aircraft, killing person after person. It was a total massacre. The people inside can only hear gunshots and screams of terror. Ropes with hooks had been attached to the ship as attackers climbed their way aboard. The crew was doing their best to hold them off, but it was proving to be a struggle. The captain quickly took cover and called out to the attackers, demanding what they wanted, but his inquiries were ignored. As he tried to speak again, he was cut off by a bullet whizzed past him, forcing him to once again duck behind cover. Makeshift grenades made from empty tin cans and Molotov cocktails were thrown throughout their ship. Knowing there were children on the ship, they knew they needed to protect them. As the civilians continued to run for cover, more gunshot and explosions were heard. The young soldiers that had the ability started to put their skills and training to good use. They then armed their guns and shot back with immense force and aimed for nothing but headshots, killing half a dozen of them instantly, also giving the passengers time to escape. Clementine, Carly, and Danielle quickly had left the medical bay, Clementine keeping Danielle close, while sticking by Carly's side. They quickly spotted the captain hiding behind cover with a few more soldiers. Cautiously, they joined them behind their wall of cover. What the hell is going on? Carly inquired. We're under attack, Captain Harvey said. Clearly. Who are these people? Carly questioned. Bandits. We've never faced an attack like this. This is bad, one of the soldiers muttered. Okay, we got to do something. We need a plan, the captain said. Right, a plan would be good, Clementine said. Seeing the soldiers look to the captain for guidance, only for him to hesitate, Clementine and Carly tried to think of something themselves. The ship hadn't faced attacks like this. The people had all thought they were safe. And Clementine and Carly could tell they didn't know what to do in this situation. They have to fight back, Clementine said. We are fighting back, one of the soldiers said. Not just the soldiers. The whole community has to fight back. Any able-bodied person needs to fight if we're going to make it through this, Clementine said. It's impossible. None of them are trained. They're not fighters, Captain Harvey said. That doesn't mean anything. You can't underestimate them. This is their home, and they have to help defend it, Clementine replied. It's not safe. The captain tried to protest. This isn't safe. They have to fight. They have to, Clementine said. Where are the weapons? The captain took a moment to answer, but hearing screams from his fallen comrades made his decide to give in. We have an armory. That's where the weapons are. Where? Clementine asked. The captain paused for a moment. Where? Clementine pressed, in a stern tone. Take them to the armory, Captain Harvey said. Captain, are you sure this will work? One of the soldiers questioned. We're going to have to find out, the captain said. Be careful, we'll distract them. Clem, you and Danielle go to armory, I'll stay here and watch his back, Carly said. Okay, be careful, Clementine said. I'm supposed to say that to you, Carly said to the girl. Clementine looked to Danielle. Come on, Danny. Stay close to me. Danielle gave a tiny nod. As they went off, Carly looked to the captain. What's the plan? Carly asked. The captain thought for a moment. Where's your damn captain when you need him? A voice interrupted as more gunshots were heard. Captain, what's the plan? Carly asked again, sounding more urgent. A soldier spoke before the captain could. What else can we do? We fight back as long as we see. Suddenly a loud scream was heard, causing them to flinch. The captain's eyes widened in horror. Anna. That's my wife. Wait. We have to surrender. Captain Harvey said. You can't be serious, Captain. One of the soldiers exclaimed. What choice do I have? They have my family. My wife, my kids. Captain Harvey said. He's right. We have to give up, or make it look like we do, Carly said. The crew members were hesitant to comply, but knew they had no choice. They followed their captain's lead. This way. The armory is here. A soldier called as he led them along. Come on, Danny. Clementine held the child's hand while she ran along with the soldiers. They were led to the armory which was located by the safety bunker. Clementine headed into the armory and noticed several weapons, more than enough for them to fight back. She just needed to convince the people to do so. The armory was close to the safety bunker, where the civilians were hiding out. Clementine just hoped she could convince them to fight back. As she entered the bunker, she could see many people were in an absolute panic. She tried to gain their attention, but it was a struggle with them all speaking over one another. Taking a deep breath, she yelled, "Listen!" Attention turned to her, and though the people were still frightened, they looked to her expectantly, listening for what she had to say. We have to do something. We're not gonna win this unless we fight, Clementine told them. Fight? Are you out of your mind? One of the people exclaimed. That's what the guards are for, someone else said. Clementine shook her head. The guards are doing the best they can. We have to fight too. What do you know? You're a damn kid. Someone scoffed. I know more than you think. We have to fight. We can't just sit back and let them destroy this ship. This is your home, and you have to defend it, Clementine said. The people exchanged looks. As Clementine continued trying to convince them, some of them seemed to give in, but others refused. An argument began among the group as they debated on if they should fight back to help defend their home or abandon ship. We don't have time for this. If we're gonna do something, we have to do it now. Whoever's with me, come on. Clementine ordered. I've been through this type of thing before. I've seen cannibals, bandits, rapists. I've had to fight to protect myself. And if we don't do that now, if we don't fight back, we're all gonna die or worse, become slaves to those bandits. We have to fight back. It's now or never. As she ordered them to follow, a few of the civilians did, but others decided to stay hidden. Clementine decided to take what she got. She couldn't convince them all and she didn't have time to try. And though she was disappointed that not many of them were willing to fight, but she couldn't complain. This would have to do. She and the guards passed out weapons to all the civilians that were willing to fight back before they rushed back towards the main deck. Where's your captain? Think he's going to come help you folks now? A man taunted his captives with a chuckle. One being Anna, the captain's wife. I'm right here. The captain spoke. Let them go. Finally decided to show your face? The man said. What do you want? Is it supplies? The captain asked. If it is, we have plenty. Just let my people go and they're yours. Not gonna happen. The man said. What is it you want? Captain Harvey asked. This isn't a deal we're making. Anything we want we're gonna take. Meaning your supplies, the lives of all your men, and the freedom of all your ladies. The man replied. Fuck this shit. One of the soldiers angrily started to raise his gun, but he was quickly stopped by Carly. I'll give you all the supplies you want. The captain said. Just please. Don't do this, no one else has to die. Like I said before, this isn't a deal we're making. The man said. The captain slowly inched his way closer to his young son who was sobbing fearfully. Once he was close enough, he scooped the child up, tossing him to a nearby soldier before shooting two of the men. The captain yelled in pain as he was suddenly shot in the leg, causing him to fall to the ground. The captain of the opposing group grabbed him and forced him to his knees. Before the man could react, he was suddenly shot through the head. No! The captain's wife screamed out in horror. Captain! The soldiers quickly drew their guns and gunfire was quickly exchanged. The captain's wife was hit and the shooting continued. Several of the soldiers were killed by the opposing crew. The enemy's captain smirked. You folks done fighting now? Your leader can't protect you anymore.
The man said with a chuckle. I guess that means, this ship is mine now. Unless someone here wants to protest. We do, Clementine snapped. Gunfire began to ring out from the civilians, Clementine managing to hit that captain, killing him. As gunfire came from both sides, some of the civilians attempted to back out, however, many of them went through with the attack. Blood had been shed on both sides, but eventually a victor was seen. The opposing side was no more, though the group was faced with another issue. The bodies of the fighters began to reanimate. Carly, Clementine and the civilians began killing and pushing the walkers off the ship. More than half of the ship was full of walkers, and it proved to be a lengthy and difficult task. Clementine, who had been focused on other walkers, barely noticed a walker, which happened to be the captain, approached her until she was already grabbed. Clementine, Danielle gasped. Carly quickly aimed her gun, shooting the captain before her could do any damage to the girl. With that, they continued to clear the ship of as many walkers as they could. Once everything had calmed down, they went to check in on the survivors in the bunker. Upon checking the safety bunker, many of the civilians began to ask, "Where's the captain?" He's gone. I'm in charge now. They were approached by the captain's eldest son, the same young man who had taken their weapon when they first got on the ship. The survivors were all saddened to hear of the captain's demise, but they were willing to look to his son as their new leader. Once the group had calmed, and things seemed safe again, the captain's son had approached Carly, Clementine, and Danielle. "Thank you for helping us," the captain's son said. "You lost a lot of people." Clementine frowned. "We would have lost more without your help," the captain's son said. "I guess," Clementine sighed. "I know you guys don't plan on sticking around, but is there anything I can help you with?" the captain's son asked. "A boat, if you can give us one. And gas," Carly said. "Food and water too. We could use as much as you can give." "Of course," the captain's son said. "Whatever we can give to help." "Thank you," Carly said. "No, thank you," the captain's son replied. After giving them their requested equipment, the captain's son spoke. "You three be careful out there. The world's not as safe as it used to be. People aren't so nice anymore." "Trust me, we know," Carly said. "You guys be safe too," Clementine said to the captain's son. "We will," the captain's son said. With that, the trio headed off, the captain's son waving them goodbye. The trio sailed off with the realization that bandits were even on the sea. They were starting to think that sea travel wasn't any safer than the land. They just hoped they could get to Wellington soon. 4 months had passed, and Clementine was starting to show. This pregnancy had proved to be rough, and being on a boat certainly didn't help that. But now they found themselves faced with another dilemma. Food. They were running low on food. They couldn't keep going like this. They were tired, exhausted actually. And hunger was constantly gnawing at their stomachs. They didn't have enough to fill themselves up. They had to save as much as they could. They were constantly taking stock and calculating how long their supplies would last in. They consumed a little quantity of food as they could. They were beginning to get anxious, and the fading food stock wasn't helping anyone's mood. Carly felt like she had failed these girls. She would sometime offer up her share of rations, knowing both Clementine and Danielle needed it more than her. Danielle with a growing child, and Clementine, she was eating for two. Many days, Clementine would try to refuse food as well, but Carly would push her to eat, telling her to think about the baby. Still, what they had wasn't enough. Carly knew that. Clementine and Danielle knew as well. They were in constant fear that they would starve. They had just enough food to get by. Enough food to carry them along on short rations. Just barely enough food to keep off semi-starvation, to appease their prompting appetites. They could meet their needs, but it only kept them from going completely hungry. And things were becoming more and more difficult. Hunger assailed them often, and they only had enough to feed themselves for a few more days. They would have to find some place soon to search for food. And days later, when they were down to their last bit of rations, it was just their luck when they spotted land in the distance. When they caught sight of a large community in the distance, they brought their ship to a stop, figuring that could be a good spot to spend the night and hopefully find food. They desperately needed to find food. They anxiously approached the community, and before long they found themselves being approached by a group of men who ordered them to put their weapons down. Their guards remained up,
unsure of what to expect from these people. "We don't want any trouble. We just need some food. Then we'll be on our way," Carly said, honestly. The men seemed to exchange look and Carly couldn't help but feel on edge. Perhaps she was feeling paranoid, but she had a strange feeling in her stomach. Or perhaps that feeling was simply the dull ache of her hungry getting to her. To their surprise, one of the men spoke. "Weapons down, men." Someone, who they assumed was the group's leader, spoke. "Sorry if we startled you. We don't mean any harm." "We don't mean harm either," Carly said. "We just need some food." "Well, we can help with that. We have food. Hell, if you people need a place to stay, we can give you that as well," the group's leader said. "What's the catch?" Carly asked. "No catch. I figured you people can't be that bad, considering you have a kid with you. And it seems one of you is expecting," the leader replied. Yeah, I am," Clementine muttered. She too had a strange feeling about these people, but she couldn't put her finger on why. "It can't be easy traveling like that. Stay a night, you'll have food and beds to rest in," the leader said. "That actually sounds nice. Let me talk about it with my girls," Carly said. The man nodded. "Take your time." Carly nodded in response. "All right." She motioned for the girls to follow her a bit away from earshot. "All right, what do you two want to do?" Clementine gave a tiny shrug. "We could use the food." "What do you think about staying?" Carly asked. I don't know," Clementine said honestly. She knew it would be nice to have a good night's rest and a meal, but she didn't know if she could trust these people. "What if they're bad?" Danielle asked. "What if they want to hurt us?" "They won't get the chance," Carly said. "We'll be fine." "I guess staying the night won't hurt," Clementine said. "All right. You know the drill, keep your knives hidden, just in case," Carly said. Clementine and Danielle both nodded. The three headed back to the men and Carly spoke. "We'll stay. Just for the night." She knew they were all exhausted from their travels, and she knew a night of rest would do them good. "Wonderful." The leader smiled, happy that they had agreed to stay the night. They noticed the men gazes on Clementine and couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. Clementine noticed their eyes were on her growing stomach. Subconsciously, she placed a protective hand over her belly. "This way." One of the men finally spoke. "I'll show you to where you can sleep." They were a bit surprised that the men had allowed them to hold on to their weapons. Most groups tended to take them away, or try to. But have those helped them to feel a bit safer? Maybe paranoia and hungry had been getting to them. They followed the man to a sizable building, one that had many rooms. It looked to be in decent shape, and they could tell that there were other inhabitants in the rooms. They were led to a room down the hall of the building and to a room where they could rest. As the trio settled in, one of the men brings them a couple cans of food and a pack of crackers. Carly thanked them and the three began to eat, the man leaving them to the privacy of their room. "It seems like a decent place so far," Carly said. "I guess," Clementine said. "I just have a weird feeling. I don't know what it is." "Look, I know you're both wary, but it's okay, we're gonna be okay," Carly said. "We had a tough journey, but now we have food, we'll get some rest. And everything will be all right." "I hope so," Clementine said. "At least they didn't take our weapons." "Yeah. I'm actually surprised they didn't," Carly said. "So am I," Clementine said. "I won't complain about that though." "Me either," Carly agreed. The trio continued eating their dinner and eventually they decided to head to bed for some rest. The night drifted on in peace until the door creaked open. The three were still asleep. And they didn't notice others enter the room. And Carly remained asleep when two of the men began to carry her from the room. No one even stirred, not even in the slightest. Carly jerked awake, and to her surprise she found herself tied at the wrist. The woman attempted to struggle free but was unable to do so. Upon looking around, she found herself in some kind of room with other unknown females, women and teenage girls. However, she didn't see Clementine or Danielle in the room. Concern hit her as she looked around but saw no sign of them. "What the hell is this?" she inquired to the other women. There was no response. Where am I?" Carly asked the other girls. "What's going on?" "You're in a cell," one of the women muttered. "Obviously. Why do they have us in here?" Carly huffed. "Where the hell are my clothes?" They took your clothes. Probably burnt them by now. One of the girls scoffed. You're a prisoner here. Like the rest of us. What? What do they want from us? Why are we here? Carly asked. So, they can breed us. That's what they do. They rape us and force us to breed like a damn animal, and then the children are used as food, to feed those bastards and their people. The same girl spoke. It was what Carly had thought. She found herself trapped without clothing and had a good idea of what these people planned to do. She noticed several women, most of them in various stages of pregnancy. Tori, be quiet. One of the women hissed. No. I'm being honest. We all know that's what those sick fucks do. The girl, Tori said. What the fuck? These people are cannibals. Carly's eyes widened. Those men are cannibal rapists. They're monsters, Tori said. Shit. Oh shit. Carly began once again trying to free herself from her binds, but they were tied tight. You might as well give up. They'll untie you eventually. After they break you, Tori said, before lowering her head. Tori, is it? How long have you been here? Carly asked. You don't seem broken to me. Not long, but I'm telling you, that's what those people do. They're fucked in the head, Tori said. If you can't give them a kid, then you're as good as dead in their eyes. They're fucking sick. Carly realized this girl must have been the newest, and she clearly was not afraid to speak her mind. However, the others seemed to have given up. I have 2 girls here. A child. And a teen, Clementine. Clem is pregnant. What's going to happen to her? What will they do to her and her baby? Carly asked. They'll keep her until she gives birth and then eat the child when it's born. Tori explained. I've seen it happen to too many women here. Carly's eyes widened at that, and she looked around, trying to find a way out. We can't just sit here. We have to do something. We have to get out of here. No one responded. We have to fight back. We can't just let them get away with this, Carly said. Still, she got nothing. If we don't do anything, we'll die, Carly continued her urge, but to no avail. Forget it. You won't get through to them. I doubt they care anymore, Tori said. Carly frowned, ignoring Tori's advice. She continued to try to convince them to fight back, but as she still got no response, she eventually realized they were all too broken to listen. Carly sighed at this, taking a seat. She would have to figure a way out to help Clementine and Danielle, but as of now, her options were limited. Maybe she could convince Tori to help, but it seemed everyone else wouldn't be budging. She didn't know what to do. Clementine awoke finding someone yanking her clothes off. She tried to struggle free, but was held down. The girl tried to scream for help, panic hitting her. But her struggling was in vain. And despite her best efforts to fight, the only thing she received in return were 2 strong blows to the head, rendering the young girl unconscious once again. Carly began searching for some way to free herself. She eventually found a piece of metal on the wall and began to cut the rope. She was nearly free when she was forced to stop as she noticed men patrolling to and fro. She was forced to stop as not to draw attention. Most of the women had gone to sleep, but Carly refused to rest. She needed to find a way out of here. Not just for herself but for everyone in here. These people were sick and she couldn't imagine leaving these women to suffer further. She needed to get them out of here. Not only that, but she needed to find Clementine and Danielle. She just hoped they were okay. Clementine felt panic hit her. She regained consciousness, finding herself trapped in some kind of cell. She did her best to stay calm as she tried to process what was going on and figure out a plan. Her clothes had been stripped and she felt sore. She shuddered at the thought of what could have happened to her. Carly? Danielle? Clementine called out. She quickly looked around, her ears catching the sound of whimpering. She recognized Danielle's voice immediately. Danny? Danny, it's okay. She sat up and made her way to the young child who was covering in the corner. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? When Danielle didn't respond, Clementine asked again, face full of concern. Danny? Did they hurt you? Danielle gave a tiny shake of the head. We're okay, Danny. We're gonna find a way out of here, okay? Clementine assured her quietly. She was sure those men were close by listening. Danielle gave a tiny nod, though she was trembling a bit. Noting the child's fear,
Clementine pulled her into a hug. "It's okay. I won't let anyone hurt you. I swear." Danielle seemed slightly put at ease from the teen's words. What do we do now?" "We need to find a way out of here," Clementine whispered.
"How?"
Danielle asked. "I'll figure something out," Clementine said. "We're gonna get out of here." She kept Danielle in her embrace. She just needed to come up with a plan. And with the men so close by guarding the cell, she knew trying to escape now would be risky. They would have to lay low until the coast was clear. She just hoped they could get out of there soon. The next morning came too slow for Carly's liking. She had been awake, pondering on how to help Clementine and Danielle. She continuously worked on loosening her binding, noting that no one else in the cell was tied, well, besides her and Tori. However, upon asking for help to remove the ties on her wrist, the women would refuse or simply not respond. Too fearful to help her, worried what their captors would do if they did. So Carly was forced to attempt to get free on her own. And after hours of fiddling with the ropes holding her wrists, and the metal that she had used earlier to cut at the bindings, they had begun to loosen. Using her teeth, she tugged at the ropes, moving her hands, nearly able to slip them free. She didn't get the chance though, as it wasn't long before she noticed a few of the men approaching their cell. The women and teens seemed to cover in fear. Only Tori and Carly remained unafraid. Before long the cage was unlocked, and to her surprise, Carly found herself yanked out of the cage by two men. She struggled against the men as they forcefully removed her from the cell and tossed her to the ground. Carly screamed as she felt herself pinned to the ground and felt men touching her in many places. Horror filled her eyes as she realized these men were going to rape her, right in front of everyone. Pinned to the ground, as one of the men climbed on top of her, Carly did her best to fight him off. Bucking her hips and trying to kick her feet proved to be useless, and one of the men had hold of her hands. She wasn't going to let this happen. She couldn't let this happen. Carly could feel the man forcing himself upon her, but with her bindings much looser than before, she was able to use her strength to rip her wrist free, forcing the rest of the rope apart. Out of options, she acted before she could think of anything else, biting the neck of the man who was over top of her as hard as possible. The man screamed out and she felt blood spill into her mouth as she ripped his flesh. She continued to bite down, until her jerked away, falling on his back, blood spurting from his neck. The other men released her and quickly ran to the bleeding man's aid, trying to stop the blood flow, but panicking and failing miserably. Carly quickly forced herself free from the rope on her hands and then managed to grab a gun from one of the men before shooting them one after another. The attention of the others in the cells were drawn by this. Some of the women looking on in fear, while others looked on in disbelief. She then checked their pockets, finding the keys in the pocket of the man who was bleeding from his neck. "I'll be taking these," she whispered to the bleeding man. Taking the keys, she began to unlock the cages, and quickly encouraged the women to take the guns of their captors and fight back. To her surprise, the woman obliged, grabbing the weapons. With a smirk on her face, Carly began looking for something to wear. She eventually found her, Clementine's, and Danielle's bags. Searching through them, she was relieved to see they hadn't been emptied. In fact, their bags seemed completely untouched, but unfortunately her clothes could not be found. Recalling the words of the girl in the cell, she knew her clothes had probably indeed been burnt. Taking their bags, but giving up on finding clothing for the moment, Carly began searching for Clementine and Danielle. Morning had come by, and Clementine had noticed the men had cleared the area. No one was on guard by the cell. "Danny," Clementine nudged the younger girl. "Wake up." Danielle jumped awake, looking scared. "It's okay, we're okay," Clementine told her. What's going on?" Danielle asked. "I got an idea," Clementine said. She began looking around for some kind of sharp tool to use. Finding a sharp object didn't happen, but she eventually managed to find what appeared to be a bobby pin on the ground. Her stomach fell as she figured it had belonged to whoever had been in this cell before her. She wondered what happened to her. Shaking the thought away, she walked to the bars and carefully reached her arm through. She then attempted to try to pick the lock using the bobby pin. Eventually she managed to get the cell open. Bingo. "All right Danny, come on. Stay close to me." Danielle stood from her corner and followed the older girl, sticking close to her. They made it out the cage and started sneaking their way down the hall.
They didn't get far before a voice uttered out, "Where do you think you're going?" Flinching, Clementine said to Danielle, "Run." She took the child's hand and the two sped down the hall. They found themselves chased by 3 men, one being the leader himself. The men managed to catch up, the leader threatening them with his gun and forcing them to stop. The men began to drag them back to the cell. Clementine struggling and Danielle on the verge of tears. "You little brats are gonna be a headache," one of the men snapped. "Leave her alone. She's just a little kid. Just let her go," Clementine called, not wanting Danielle to be hurt. "No can do," the leader said as they returned them to the cell. "Please. You can do whatever you want to me. But leave her alone," Clementine said. "Please." "Whatever we want?" one of the men asked. Clementine nodded, already nervous about what these men would do. "Okay then," the leader said. "Put the little one in the cell." The man who was holding the whimpering Danielle tossed her back into the cell. Danielle cowered back into the corner, whimpering to herself and tried to squeeze her eyes shut to avoid seeing what horrible acts she knew were to come to Clementine. Clementine bit her lip, trying to put on a brave face. She prayed these men wouldn't harm her, but as the leader ordered them to pin her, her heart dropped. She fought back tears, telling herself she had to do this in order to protect Danielle. She would do anything to keep Danielle safe. She began shaking as she struggled not to scream for help. She knew there was no use anyway. It would probably only make people angry. She was tossed to the ground and found herself pinned by the leader, who began working on undoing his own pants. Restrained and laying on the cold concrete floor, Clementine clenched her eyes shut, preparing herself for the worst. A sudden commotion was heard as a few men ran by. "What the hell is going on?" the leader inquired, stopping one of the men in his tracks. "They're escaping," one of the men replied. "What?" the leader asked. "The prisoners are escaping," the leader said. "Damn it." The man removed himself from overtop Clementine, giving the teen an opportunity to inch back. "Go stop them." With that the men ran off. Clementine prayed that the man would leave her be, but that wasn't the case. He grabbed the teen once more, inquiring, "Where do you think you're going, brat?" The girl struggled and tried to fight back as she was once again pinned under the man's weight. The girl prayed that her baby wasn't harmed, her stomach flipping with anxiety. And after several moments of pain, a gunshot rang out and the man fell limp against her. Carly continued through the hall, hearing the men's shouts from the distance as the women fought back against them. Cage after cage, she passed but began growing nervous when she couldn't find the girls. Several minutes passed before finally she stumbled upon the 2 girls. Anger coursed through her as she noticed Clementine was pinned to the ground and Danielle was huddled in the corner of a cell. She rushed over as man hit the girl in the face as she tried to resist him. Without hesitation she aimed her gun at the rapist, who she recognized to be the group's leader, and she pulled the trigger. The man fell limp against Clementine and Carly rushed over to push him off. "Clem. Oh my gosh. Are you okay?" Clearly the girl was. Hell, what had happened fucked with her head as well. "No. No. Don't touch me," Clementine frantically exclaimed, eyes screwed shut as she tried to back away. "Clem, it's me. It's Carly. See Carly." Clementine finally opened her eyes, whimpering a bit. He. I know. Do you think he hurt my baby?" "I'm sure your baby's fine. Can you walk? We gotta get out of here." Carly helped the girl to her feet. "Why yeah. I can walk," Clementine said. Danielle, are you okay?" The girl remained in the corner shaking a bit. Clementine made her way over to the girl, careful not to scare her more than she already was. "Come on, Danny. We're getting out of here." She offered the child her hand. Danielle slowly looked up and accepted Clementine's hand. She quickly hugged the girl, tears falling. Clementine returned the hug and shushed the child. It's okay, Danny. We're okay. He hurt you," Danielle whimpered out. "I'm fine. I'm okay," Clementine said. Carly watched the two and felt more anger towards these sick men. "Girls." Both girls flinched at her call, looking to her. "Come on girls. We gotta go. We need to get the hell out of here," Carly said. Wait. We can't just leave the women here," Clementine said. "We need to help these people." Carly hesitated but spoke. All right, we'll do what we can. But first. Carly made her way over to the leader's dead body and began stripping him from his clothing, pulling his jacket and shirt off. She then offered them to Clementine and Danielle. What about you? Clementine asked. Don't worry about me. I'll find something later, Carly said. Clementine pulled the jacket on to cover herself, as Danielle put on the shirt which covered the smaller girl almost like a dress. We have to help. We have to free the rest of the women, Clementine said. We will, Carly said. As they continued through the building, they unlocked other cages, releasing the other captives. They could hear screams from the distance and realized that an ongoing fight was going on. The women were fighting back against the cannibals, and it was clear that the men were losing to the women they had once held captive. The women they had freed ran off to join the fight while Carly, Clementine, Danielle went to retrieve their bags from where Carly had left them. Clementine and Carly grabbed their weapons and exchanged looks. Are you ready? Carly asked. Let's do this, Clementine said. Carly gave a nod, and they loaded their guns. Once they were ready, they headed out to join the fight. They began killing the remaining cannibals, one by one without regret. Some of the cannibals been devoured by their former group members, now walkers, while others were attacked and killed by the women with their own weapons. A few more hours had gone by and eventually they had taken out the cannibals. A few men remained alive, but upon checking in with the women, they learned they were the fathers, husbands, uncles, brothers, and friends of the women who had been held captive. And these men were as traumatized as the women. They quickly learned that these men were also held captive, to be chopped up and eaten as food. Many of them had been starved and beaten, and some of them were in such bad shape it was clear they wouldn't make it long. Still, Carly figured she would help as much as she could. She and Clementine searched for clothes for the females, including Carly herself, taking the clothing of corpses that hadn't become walkers. After that they began searching for a ship. No one wanted to stay in that community, not after what they had been put through, and Carly honestly could not blame them. Eventually they prepared a large fishing boat and gathered what food and weapons they could to load upon the boat. While gathering food they ignored all meat products, unable to trust where the meat had come from. After the preparation was done they allowed the people to board the boat. They didn't know where to go, or what they were going to do, but they would find a place of safety and figure things out. As long as they were all safe, that was what mattered. And to them, anywhere would be better than here.